So, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ, and welcome to yet another seat of the pants thing that I would like to share with you guys, and maybe even manipulate with you guys. So, right now, anyway, sorry. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. Thank you very much, creatives, community, and kind folks, for being here. There's a whiteboard here. Oops, there we go. Let's move some of this stuff out the way. There is a whiteboard here, and I thought I would. There is talk in our tabletop role playing community about preparation and about what the heck is all this stuff over here? Using preparation, using how do you improv? How do you prep for a game? How do you do these things? And I thought I would basically share my old school 3x5 card, but do this digitally. 3x5 card system. Um, a visual representation of the way us old farts prep for our tabletop role-playing experiences by taking a pencil or ink pen or magic marker. We grab ourselves a thing you young folks call paper, and write things on them. And then when we don't use them, or we aren't sure how we're going to use them, we stick them in our back pockets and keep them for later. And so I've always lived by the presumption that all unused prep is improv fuel. So there really isn't a difference, or much of a difference, or of this vast gap between preparation and improv. And I thought I would do this in the absolute simplest way. I even thought about doing this even sillier by, instead of writing down words, using like little icons or like pictures or something, which I could do. And I'm using this as a 5-room dungeon. And what we're going to do is we are going to come up with some simple basics for a 5-room dungeon, and manipulate that, because even a 5-room dungeon is very linear, and manipulate that and use this as a method to even expand upon the 5-room dungeon, so that you are always prepping. What is the there's a movie / play called Glenn Ross, and it's like always be closing, A B C, A always be, B C closing, right? And this is basically the same thing. It's like, always be prepping. And so a lot of times when we're brilliant people, we're out there, we're always A B C, all A always B B C closing. Some of the best bullshit corporate, like, speaking to your employees to get them motivated stuff. I love those boardroom monologues, even though a lot of them are, like I said, are bullshit. But yeah. Yeah, Drew says, DJ, the thumbnail's wrong. I realized that after I posted it. Yeah. Improve with an E related to improvement. If you mean improv as related to improvisation, then you have to write that without the E at the end. I think it's self-corrected, and I published it, and I was like, fuck, I got to go back and change it. So you are absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. Yeah. It happens. It is a hazard of going live with an idea like 15 minutes before I had the idea. Okay, so long story short, this is in order what the 5-room dungeon is. So the 5-room dungeon is basically an entrance or guardian. Mind you, the word room and dungeon in the 5-room dungeon is a framework, not a literal thing. So It doesn't need to have 5 rooms. They don't need to be rooms at all, and it doesn't need to be a dungeon. It's just we're just using these terms very loosely, because essentially you could write a novel based on this. So the Guardian slash entrance is when our players grab onto that hook and they're pulled into the adventure, what is either at the entrance that sucks them in, or what kind of guardian is there. Now, the guardian could be a physical living creature. A guardian could be a trap. The guardian could be after the PCs enter and they can't get out of the circumstance. How do they proceed forward? The guardian could be a physical obstacle, climbing, jumping, swimming. The entrance could be in media res. It could be a big bang, right? Your player characters are in a wagon, they're in a school bus, they are in an airplane, they are in an office building, they are traveling through terrible weather towards a small town, and there's a landslide. Like, all of these things could happen in the entrance. The second part, the social slash puzzle. This is basically, I'll even put it in here. This is your RP moment, right? This is your role play moment. Actually, I'll type out the whole thing. This is your role play moment. This is a moment for either the players themselves to talk amongst themselves. This is where you get to introduce maybe an NPC. This could be a sorry, still not going away. Sorry. Even taking some medicine already. This is the opportunity for maybe even the guardian, like a sphinx or a magical apparition or banditry that is, trying to intimidate and talk to the player characters. This could be a noble. So this is your social interaction part. This is also not the location for a puzzle. The puzzle could be a social puzzle. How do we figure out how to get from A to B by navigating through these people? Or the puzzle could be a physical one, i.e., Indiana Jones trying to figure out how to get through traps. It could be the puzzle could be a literal physical puzzle trying to put pieces back together. It may be in a heist. How do we get the item by navigating this puzzle? So that's what that is. A third part is the trick or setback. Trick or setback in a novel is the one where our heroes are in our downbeat. They've been beaten, they've been surrounded, they've been captured. A little difficult to do that in a tabletop role-playing game. So in a tabletop role-playing game without taking agency from the players, the trick setback could be that what they think is a straight line to get to the end is a twist. So maybe the PCs are like, the bandits are bad. We've gotten rid of the bandits. We got to go rescue the hostages because the bandits kept these people hostage. And come to find out, the hostages were like, we're not hostages. It's the twist, right? It's the trick. Like, well, we're not hostages. We were escaping from the evil noble that hired you to come get us, right? Something like that. It's basically PCs realize that there is a maybe they've been hoodwinked or something. I have the website up here for a 5-room dungeon. The purpose of this room is to build tension. Do this using a trick, trap, or setback. For example, after defeating a tough monster and players think they finally found the treasure and achieve their goal, they learn they've been tricked and the room is a false crypt. Depending on your game system, use this room to cater to any player or character types not yet served by the first 2 areas. Alternatively, give your group a double dose of gameplay that they enjoy the most, such as more combat or role-playing. And part of the idea in a 5-room dungeon is to allow the spotlight to move from player to player to player. So, for example, the Guardian could be the combat player. Next could be the socially engineered type of player. And then the trick setback could be like someone who's able to physically or mentally navigate like traps or tricks or puzzles or obstacles. Maybe physically they can run, jump, swim, things like that. Maybe magic is the only way to get through it, and you have a magical character. Number 4 is the climax, the big bad evil guy. This is where you fight the dragon at the end, you fight the monster at the end, you confront who or whatever it is that caused the situation. Maybe it was the noble. The PCs go back to confront the noble. It's like, you set us up to go after the bandits, and they were the good guys. And the noble's like, if it wasn't for you meddling kids, I'd have gotten away with it, kind of thing. Scooby-Doo. And then lastly is the reward twist reveal. It could be a reward magic item. It could be a reward of popularity or reputation. It could be money. It could be a favor. Thank you for helping us solve this situation. You are in our favor. A song, something like that. It could be a twist. So all of this could just be an aside, and the twist is it wasn't even the noble. The noble was mind controlled, or the noble was in league with an even greater power. And this is the reveal. If all of this didn't seem to link together, the reveal could be, hey, listen, I had this idea about the snake god and the cult or whatever, and so all of this was actually in play by the cult of the snake or something like that. Let me see what you guys have to say, and then we'll go about starting to shift BS around. Yeah, Drew says, I still cannot afford 5 rooms in this economy. I'm an old dude. I'm lucky I've got 5 rooms plus. The most I can afford would be 3.5. Yeah. You mean did I get you sick? Yeah, I say that at work because I work amongst like 30 other people, and the minute 1 or 2 people start like coughing or sneezing, like, you guys make me sick from all the allergens. Just be careful with the twist. That's the part where this can go wrong a million ways. I absolutely agree with you. I really don't like it being called a twist, trick, or setback. I'm going to show you examples of what I use. It's basically the same thing, just maybe different words. Just Angel says, hail y'all from the Arctic South. Yeah, I know, it's friggin' cold out now. Cult of the Snake. How very Conan. Yeah. So, okay. So this is essentially the order of the 5-room dungeon. And very straight lines. I decided not to put actual lines in between because then I have to move them all around. But here's the thing. None of this needs to be in this order. So let's start adding some actual words to this. So let's get rid of let's make this the guardian entrance, and let's put like a monster. Let's put like a golem. So we're going to put golem in the beginning. The social interaction part is going to be let's put a ghost. So the ghost is for role play. Wow. Sorry. Ghost is for role play. Golem, we're going to put down as will that work? Nope. Come on, get in there. Get in there. Yeah. We're going to put this as entrance. Maybe a ghost, and trick or setback. What we'll put here is a set of traps, or I'm just going to put obstacles. Obstacles, and that's going to be the trick. We'll throw that in there somewhere. Big bad evil guy. Let's put snake cult, since I did it. Snake cult, probably with plus giant snake monster. BBEG. There we go. And then and the reveal reward, let's go with magic items plus gold. Let's go real basic with this reward. All right, so what we have here is your basic, like there's a golem entrance that's protecting or blocking or preventing the PCs from going into the crypt. They've been given some information. There's a golem there. Maybe there's this could be fighting the golem. Maybe there is some way for them to get past the golem other than physically sneaking past, running past the golem. They get inside the crypt. There's a we're going to go with, and I want to make this as basic as possible. There's a ghost in the way. The ghost talks to them, threatens them, gives them some information. Later, after the ghost, the crypt has physical obstacles. They have to run, jump, swim. Maybe there's like your classic, Indiana Jones type stuff. Swing on a rope, jump from pillar to pillar. I don't know, dodge under the swinging scythes or something. They get to the end, and maybe this old crypt has a snake cult, and they've summoned their giant snake inside of this crypt, and there's a big fight, and at the end of it, in the side of this crypt, there's a reward system. We don't need to do this in this order at all, period. So, for example, maybe there's a way for them to get past this golem. So we take the golem and we just move this out the way. Maybe the players find out in town that there's a rumors that there's a ghost, and there's a ghost in the crypt. So we could replace that and put it in all this in a different order. And now the PCs are like, hey, if there really is a ghost, maybe we can bargain with this ghost to get some information. Ghost gives them information that if you say certain words, you get past the golem, right? Or maybe you yourself are like, I don't really want to I rolled this up randomly. Players are about to show up for the game. This is horrible. How about I let the ghost approach the party while they're camped out, right? Maybe the players find out about this ancient crypt and this snake cult, and they decide to go to a library instead. And the ghostly apparition approaches them while they're in the library. So all of these things don't need to be in this particular order. As a matter of fact, we could take this out of order, and we can even put the snake cult right up front, right? And we put the snake cult right up front. Maybe the snake cult knows about the player characters and members of the cult. Maybe we even separate, we kind of separate the cult away from the giant snake, but the cult tries to assassinate the PCs while they're in town. And they're like, maybe one or more of the cults commits. They've got like ritual suicide or something. They all carry a pouch with a poisonous snake in it. And when you're like, you broke into our room, you tried to attack us, and they're like, you'll never find out our secrets. And a little small poisonous snake bites them on the wrist on purpose, and they die. And the PCs are like, what the hell just happened here, right? And maybe they find some information, or there's a map or something like that, and they go to the crypt. And when they find the crypt, there's a bunch of traps set up for them not to go into the crypt. And at the end of the obstacles of the crypt is a giant golem. Is it related to the snake cult? You could say it is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe the crypt was from a great hero or something like that. They go through the crypt. They find the magic items. And at the very end, there is a ghost that's like, thank you very much for putting me back to, getting that evil out of my great crypt. I'm a great hero. Please take these rewards, despite the fact they were left in here for me in the afterworld. Please take them. So all of these things could be moved around. Let me see what you guys have to say. It's hard to see that. Shinobi says, finally made to a live stream. Love what you do, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. The End King says, the ghost is the guy who summons the golem to fight against the snake cult intruders that happened 2,000 years ago. The adventurers find the remains of all this. See, and this is some like basic bullshit, right? But what I'm trying to show is that this is prep that fuels improv. So all of these things could be taken. We could just move all this stuff around and put We could put the magic items up first and then put the golem after the ghost. And let's put the obstacles down here. We can even leave the big bad evil at the very end. So maybe the players are hired, or they have a reputation, and someone says, this is these are the great weapons used to defeat the snake god, and we're going to give you these magic items up front. We're going to give the magic items could actually be very simple. Maybe the villagers are like, here's some healing potions and anti-venom, you're going to need this, and the PCs are like, why? Like, just trust us, you're going to need this anti-venom as you go into the dungeon. And oh, by the way, here's some gold for thanking you, some things. Or maybe these items are found on the way to the crypt in the first place. Magic items don't need to be from town. They could be natural gathered items from nature. Maybe they're in a swamp or a jungle, and there's these sweet tasting fruits, and those fruits allow them, or there's a known aloe style plant in your world. If you break the leaf off and take the nectar inside the plant or something and rub it on your wound from a snake wound, it will protect you. Now, it doesn't have to be snake related, but these magic items don't need to come at the end of an adventure. We've seen in like mythology where heroes are given, here's your reflective sword. Here's a sword that can cut the head off with a Medusa. Here's a mirrored shield. Here is, like some heroes are actually given the items up front. We've seen many heroes. King Arthur, here's your magic sword. Oh, and by the way, go on an adventure with that magic sword. So some of those items could be temporarily given to them. Here's a hammer of the storm god. Take this with you. You have possession of this hammer 9 days hence, after which time you must prove your worthiness, or something like that. Handing it off to one of the dwarven barbarian or something like that, or whatever, and some of the other characters get something to go along with them. These magic items could be related to the crypt itself. Here, use these magic items, and at the very end of it, place the magic items in the crypt with the great hero. They were stolen earlier. We found them from the dead members of the snake cult, and we need you to take those back. All those kind of things. And all of this stuff doesn't even need to be in one session. Right? So the snake cult could be way over here, and the PCs don't know that there's even a snake cult and a giant snake at the end. It could be that as they've been traveling around in the jungle, they just encounter a whole bunch of obstacles. There's a massive storm, and there's a mudslide. There is a raging river in a ravine. How do you get across it? Well, there's a tree nearby. Can we knock the tree over that's tall enough to go across the raging river in the ravine so we don't get washed away? Yes. You try to do that. Things like that. Maybe the ghosts bothers the PCs not having any words, and the PCs follow the ghosts through this jungle to lead them to the crypt in the first place, for them to come upon magical items left there by the dead adventurers that were there left before, and the PCs are like, wow, they didn't even steal their stuff, whatever. And come to find out that there's a powerful golem that is protecting the entrance to the crypt, and is like, no one unworthy can pass by the golem, or what have you. Or maybe the golem can be deactivated by placing one or more of those magical items into its chest, right? It's like gold coins or dials or a medallion or something like that. All these things can be stories. And then I'm going to show you something else here that I prefer to do. But let's see what you guys have to say. The troll dies horribly. Suddenly you are confronted by an Umber Hulk. If no random encounters table is available, going A to Z through the monster manual works every time. I've done that before. Yeah. TA said good morning. Yeah, it was down to -101 degree for a while. Yeah, it's friggin' freezing here in the US. Yeah. Cultist, yeah, I mentioned about the cultist dying. Is like, yeah, cultist dies from poison. Player casts speak with dead. Now you could confound like speak with dead, because you could just give information from their point of view, which doesn't necessarily need to be it's truthful information, but corrupted because of the from their point of view. Mm-mm-mm. Story structure. Kisho Kisho Tenketsu is the Japanese four-act story structure. Basically, every anime you ever watch follows that. I have heard about that. I'm gonna look for that. Shitlord says, "Times for tentacles." Yeah, the tentacles. Zamar talks about introduction, development, twist, conclusion. Ah, that's it. Yeah, exactly the same thing. Introduction, development, twist, conclusion. I suppose you could add a fifth, even though that is a Japanese four-act structure. Um, Americanized or a little more modernized. In between development and twist would be or maybe after twist would be climax. TA says, yeah, have had a number of adventures that start with a quest for the needed tools for a given solution to a problem they are off to solve. Yep. A lot of old school modules did that thing with the reward at the top of the adventure to hint to the players what they need to fulfill the adventure. So they would find like a bottle of water, potions of water breathing. They would find anti-venom. They would find a key. They would find, and you're like, well, what do we need these for? And then eventually, as you go through the adventure, part of the adventure is flooded. Oh, the water breathing potion. Hey, rogue, or back then it was the thief, that kind of stuff. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, no one knows where the tentacles come from. They're just there. Well, yeah, that's an obstacle, right? Yeah, you could, because I was going to go ahead and start naming some of these things. Like an obstacle could be, the obstacle could be tentacles, and that obstacle could be placed like, how do let me move this here. So the obstacle itself could kind of be combined here with the snake cult. And to go after the snake cult and the giant snake, it sounds pretty simple, right? Except that there's like these open pits with like green energy from below and tentacles rise out, and the PCs need to operate around the tentacles to get to the snake cult, which is using, they're using poison darts or something, and the giant snake is there, and the tentacles keep grabbing PCs around the waists and their ankles and their wrists and things, preventing them from casting magic or using their ranged weapons, and uh, preventing the more martial characters from running around the chamber to get to the cult itself or something like that. Heck, the golem could also be at the end as well. If the PCs didn't solve the golem, maybe the snake cult has a medallion that controls the golem in the first place, and then it calls the golem from behind the player characters as they've gotten there. Another thing could be that the ghost shows up, and the ghost is pissed off because of having the crypt invaded anyway, and the ghost could be going after the snake cult and the player characters randomly, trying to get both of them out of there. And the PCs may need to role play at the very end to get the ghost on their side, and maybe the ghost reveals where the magic item is to get rid of the snake cult, and then that would work there, and the golem just has to be at the beginning. So all of this, none of this needs to be attached to each other. Again, 3x5 carding it, right? As old grognards, using pen and paper and stuff. But you can use all these notes and go, I don't know how this is going to work, and I'm not even sure where or how my players are going to approach this. I've got this adventure. How am I going to do it? Is the snake cult going to be the role play part, where the snake cult is like threatening the PCs somewhere, and the PCs are like, we hate you and you hate us and blah, blah, blah. And the snake cult's like, fine, well, we'll leave you alone now, but just remember, we're going to come back after you. And then the snake cult doubles down, and they send a golem after the PCs on traveling or in the inn or in the city or whatever. And then maybe the ghost shows up with, maybe the ghost is kind of like linked with the golem or something. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do. We start renaming some of this. I'll show you some other techniques. Let me get to what our co-hosts have to say, and then we'll start renaming some of this. TA talked about I got away from the streamlined story concept when I bought the gaming system. Yep. So Mara says, now this seems to work better when you have a more or less linear way of storytelling. Oh, with the 4-act structure, Japanese 4-act structure, 5-room dungeoning is exactly the same thing, right? It's basically um, um, it's basically a strong start, introduction, um, development, a big uh, trick or setback from our hero, a big climax, and then a reveal at the end. Yeah, global warming. Yeah, it's freaking cold. Zamar says now you can use the format that DBJ is using as rooms instead, but treasure would basically need to be in the middle each time. Oh, with the development thing, yeah, that's also a thing, right? With where the magic, the reward comes in the middle. So these two things, that maybe the golem and ghost or ghost and golem, doesn't really matter. PCs go past those two, find the item that will allow them to overcome the process at the end, right? So the reward could come in the middle, which may allow them to dispatch the tentacles by closing the portals to the netherworld, or there is some kind of, I don't know, gaseous thing that the PCs throw that make the snake monster real back, because normally if the PCs confront the snake monster, it's so powerful the PCs will probably just get killed off one by one, but the magic item may allow them to hold off or prevent the cult from even summoning the snake monster or what have you if the snake monster isn't there yet. Yeah, the tentacles emerge from the boundless depths of the astral. Yeah, always tentacles. Always moistened tentacles. Tentacles are not an obstacle, but a feature. After all, tentacles are sexy. Yeah, it's a feature. Yeah, right? Mm-mm-mm. Come on. Zamar says, I'm actually using the Kisho Tenketsu method unknowingly for my Goblin Slayer TRPG dungeon design. Ooh, that's awesome. Hey, Sadre, good morning. The golem is the mecha suit for the ghost. You could call it a ghost in the shell. Hell yes. Yeah, I was thinking about that. And King says, I imagine something similar. The golem is almost like a clay pot that houses the spirit. Yep. Very, very much so. And maybe the two together is the entrance to what the cult is doing, and then the magic items come at the end because they have some great treasure or something like that. Maybe the snake cult is using the magic items that the player characters acquire. So maybe the head of the snake cult has a, I don't know, a staff or a medallion or a gemstone or something. They break open, that summons the snake. When the PCs get there, it's like, well, there's 3 more. You find 3 more gemstones that the snake cult had, and if you look inside, there's a tiny little like embryo or something of a snake, like just curled up. And the PCs are like, ooh, we could smash this and summon a giant snake, maybe, you know. So that's always possible. I love giving the magic items just to the bad guys. That way, you get to use them against the players. The players disarm the bad guys. The players acquire the magic items. It feels like they kind of earned it a little bit. Now, this is basically using the 5-room dungeon idea, right? But we don't need to do it this way. So, for example, we could just rename a bunch of these things. So I'm going to start renaming. I apologize. Excuse me. We can start renaming some of these things as well. So, for example, we can just write down secrets, entrance. We can just rename using a sly flourish here a little bit. We can just put this bang, strong start, and then obstacles, tentacles. Let's leave this as obstacles slash hazards. You know me, I like the environment. Obstacles, hazards. I'll put traps in here, and maybe I'll put problems. Okay. So let me stretch this out a little bit here. So this could be anything. This could be a foreshadowed problem. Let's see. Right here, we're just gonna, instead of just making it snake cult, we're just gonna call this our bad guys and adversaries, whatever they are. Adversary. I know I misspelled. And then for rewards, it could be magic, treasure, connections, and maybe what else could they get? Reputation, fat fingers. Anyway, so let's stretch this out a little bit here as well and start moving this around. So kind of slightly changing this from the 5-room dungeon and making it a little bit more open and such. So we could do a boom, boom, boom. Let's do this. Let's move these kind of around here, maybe, right? I, heck, you could even add in. Let's add in something here. Was it a subheading? Nope, 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 nope. I think it was a heading. There we go. Sorry. Let's get rid of this. And I'm going to add in like I'm going to add in role play. NPCs. There we go. So I'm going to add this in. And again, with the preparation improv, you could write down anything you want on any of this stuff, right? So maybe let's say you're during the course of your day, you write down a note or take a note on your phone or whatever, and you're like, you know what, I've got some great ideas for some NPCs. So you just list a bunch of NPCs. And then for strong start, you're like, you know what would be cool for the players to be on a sailing ship and there's a big storm and the ship lands up on a beach. So that strong start could technically kind of combine the obstacles and hazards and the strong start. A very common strong start amongst the TTRPG thing is you wake up imprisoned with none of your stuff, and your stuff is on the outside of the cage, and you've been locked away or arrested or whatever. Another strong start could be, you're already in the dungeon and the room is flooding with water. What do you do? Strong starts don't need to start with action. It could start with some kind of social thing. You're running from the town's guard because of the last heist you did. Take a look at any James Bond 007 movie, and you get that kind of thing. Secrets. Oftentimes, you'll see in preparation, secrets and NPCs go together. You don't have to do that. You can place any kind of information that's needed for the player characters to find anywhere you need to put that secret. That secret could be at the connected to the hazards right over here. So the secrets could be connected to hazards, as in something written on the door of the crypt or what have you. A secret could be a letter that someone finds. A secret could be a message sent to the cleric in the group by a divine entity or a small bird that the druid finds, and there's a small note attached to the bird's leg, and the druid's like, what? Or an epiphany given to an oracle or something like that. Like, a secret doesn't need to be attached to an individual person. You can just keep those secrets in your back pocket. Excuse me. So all of this stuff can be moved around. You can write down like, there's someone missing. Where's our adversaries and enemies? Oops. I must have gotten rid of it. Okay. Let's see. We need our ad. What the heck did I just do? Adversaries. I know I misspelled that. Do, do, do. Adversaries slash enemies. We need some of them too. So again, all of this stuff. Let me put in here action. So action is the same thing. The bang strong start could actually happen in the middle of your game by having something happen action wise that disrupts what the players are doing to break them out of their analysis paralysis. So, um, for example, maybe some of your enemies attack the PCs up front and they attack the PCs not knowing the PC capabilities and they reveal a secret. And when that secret is revealed, and the PCs drive off the enemies, NPCs come around and confirm or deny the secret, or I don't know. It could be a message. It could be the enemies have the enemies against the PCs are actually thought they were mistaken. Oh, you are agents of the nobility or the authority or something. We need to eliminate you. And the PCs are like, we don't know who you're talking about. We're not related to them. And it reveals a secret. Maybe they go confront an NPC. The NPC says, oh, out in the woods, there is uh, we have had a number of storms and the bay is filled with a bunch of ships that have crashed and are sitting in shallow waters and such. There's rumors that they are using the shallow ships as a base of operations. So now the PCs have to navigate out into shallow waters and one or more broken sailing craft that are, dashed upon jagged rocks. But it's really, that's the dungeon. The enemies are using that as their base of operations. And then when they go in there, they find that there's maybe there's items or treasure, maybe there's a item things that they can use because the enemies are, maybe there's a hidden grotto, or there's a special type of sponge or something that they swallow that allows them to breathe water or whatever. And then they realize that boom, there's great action, and the enemies show up, or maybe there's like sharks or whatever, and the one of the ships they're going inside of somehow dislodges and begins sinking or whatever. And so you could always mix and match and move these things around any way you want to. And so using improv and using moving around your elements that you're creating here and there as you're going about your day can absolutely make any kind of story that you want in any method that you want. Excuse me. Caligula says, we all start in prison. Technically, yes. One filled with fluid, I think so. Sorry, trying to catch up with what you guys are talking about here. Bad guys, you never know what they'll be full of next. You guys distractions, yeah. TA says, oh man, missing my magic wand of the red dot light used to distract the panther. Like this panther like displacer beast while the characters sneak past it. That's actually pretty hilarious. But yes, if there is a wand of red dot and you're like, why would the wizard have a wand of red dot? It doesn't do anything. And come to find out it distracts the displacer beast. That's hilarious. I love that. That's a great magic item. That is a hilariously funny magic item right there. Yeah, a wand of red dot that just seems to distract all the feline monsters out there. Mm-mm-mm. The internet caught a cold from global warming. That's funny. Mm-mm-mm. Drew says, I hate that start in prison. That is neat for film, but horrible for RPGs. Yes, because one of the problems about starting the strong start in a prison is you need to, as soon as possible, get the PCs back up and out of that prison as soon as you can do it, right? Like it doesn't make any sense in a tabletop role-playing game versus like a novel or a movie or television show. But for no good reason, you have to have like a simpleton guard with all their great magic items sitting right next to the table where the PC's like, I call the guard over. Guard comes over with, hey, what do you want? You're blah, blah, blah. I'm going to grab the guard by the neck and smash his head against the bars. Great. Don't even bother rolling. He's knocked out, right? It's one of those things. So if you ever do a my PCs are immediately captured thing, you got to get them out of there or let them get out of there pretty damn quick, if not immediately. Like if they can't figure it out, let an NPC get them out of there, or some weird circumstance allows them to like figure a way out of their situation. But you have to have a lot of trust with your players as well, because players don't like to be like, wait a minute, I would never be captured, right? Um, but sometimes that works though. Strange bedfellows. Like for example, I remember playing in a game where the game master basically said, all of you have your characters. Tell me why you were all arrested for different reasons. And a benefactor comes in to release all of you to perform a function for them on the off chance that you will be pardoned for your crimes. And like someone was playing basically they were playing a combination like monk paladin kind of character, a very noble person, and was like, and they came up with a reason why they were arrested. There was they refused to give away information and investigation because someone was being unfairly persecuted, and so they were arrested instead, and they martyred themselves. They're like, no, you can arrest me, but I'll never let you know about these innocent people. That kind of stuff. Why is that magic right is up there? Okay. uh Ta, you go off on these tangents, man. Mm-mm. Why is the start in prison thing so horrible for RPGs? Oh, we were talking about that. Yeah. Prison. Drew says prison makes for a very weak start. It robs the players to make a memorable entrance since they will lack their signature gear. I absolutely agree with that part. As I was saying, I didn't even see that. Yeah, it does do that. It kind of, when you take, I don't think there's anything wrong with taking away player agency at some point, knowing that your players trust that you will allow them to regain the spotlight in a big way, right? So if you're gonna snatch their agency away, you really have to promise, like, you know what, I'm doing this for a reason. I'm just setting up the story, and then boom, here's your agency back. Yeah, T says still withholding how to make gold particles in a river. You're so there you go with your science and stuff. Mm-mm-mm. Come on, chat, move. There you go. Yeah, Tia says King Arthur is memorable, and he started out without Excalibur, even his round table and such. Yeah, I guess you could call. I guess you could say King Arthur's kind of like a tabletop role playing group with a bunch of different people born in there. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, pull a sword from a stone that no one else could pull loose is quite an entrance too. There, I remember watching a air quotes realistic version of King Arthur where there was a stone up in like the top of a stuck in a sword stuck in a stone on a waterfall. It somehow it wasn't magical technically. It kind of found its way up there, and it was our young hero Arthur decided to climb up there to get the sword out because nobody could actually get to it. And he got to it. He had to jump, grab on the sword. His weight pulled the sword out, but he fell down. You would fall to your death in the waterfall, and he comes out at the end of it, and everyone's like, "Oh, he pulled the sword from the stone." And that was the thing. Everyone looked up at this waterfall and was like, "No one's gonna ever get that sword out of there." Drew says the red dot does not work on larger cats. People tried with lions and tigers; they simply ignore it. Oh, ah, you ruined it, Drew. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Tia says, I know the green laser dot scares every bird type I've ever used it on, even though the cats love it. That's crazy. Shai says, how about you are the prison guards and you have to keep a bunch of high level wizards and stuff from escaping? Actually, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Oh, thank you, there's Andre. Yeah. That's pretty hilarious. There are a bunch of people in here. Hi. Okay, so sorry, just trying to go through the chat, see what you guys have to say. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, yes, it is true. It does benefit the algos. We get to defeat the algo monsters. Yeah, pressing like helps the channel and you in dedicating similar content. Yep, absolutely. All right, let's get back to prep plus improv. So right here, the bang, the strong start. I know it's going to sound dirty. A big bang does not need to happen at the start. What I mean by that is that you could have an action moment. So let me even get rid of this. So this could happen. You could have a list of things that can happen to the players to break them out of their mold. So an example would be uh when in doubt, have a person knock down the door to start firing a gun. That is me misinterpreting, misquoting a design philosophy in Hollywood by an individual that was basically saying, like, you know what, when you write yourself into a corner, sometimes it's actually a good idea just to basically have a big action set piece, ninjas swinging through the windows while the PCs are at the tavern, and start a fight. And then that gives you some mental space to find out, like, why. Because if a big action set piece happens, the players are they're going to get top headed, right? They're going to look down at your character sheets. They're going to roll initiative. They're going to start getting into combat. And in that interim, there's all the who, what, where, when, how, and whys of the situation. Who is attacking us? Why are they attacking us? What techniques are they attacking us with, to give them a clue as to who they are and who they are aligned with? Maybe you could even throw some role playing in there where the enemy starts saying things that don't align with the player characters, right? The enemies break in and are going like, death to the blue fist, I don't know, Legion or something. And the PCs are like, Blue Fist Legion? Who are they? And why do you think we're even aligned with them? And they're like, don't lie to us. You've been part of the Blue Fist Rebellion for, sector, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden now you have this like, wait, what, who, where? And you start giving away these secrets. Again, my theory is don't attach secrets to NPCs or specific NPCs. So the secret of the evil cult, don't attach that to the blacksmith. Now, if the PCs go and talk to the blacksmith, maybe the blacksmith reveals that secret or that bit of information. It could be common knowledge, right? So something could be a secret or unknown information to the PCs, but it could be common knowledge to the NPCs. So if the NPCs know about that snake cult, but the PCs don't know it, then it's common knowledge to the people that live here. And when the player characters are walking around and talking and stuff, maybe the blacksmith whispers into the ear of the mage and looks around, but looks over his shoulder and goes, we need help with the snake cult. And the PCs are like, what do you mean? What snake cult? What are you talking about? And then that information is given over to the player characters with or without a die roll, right? So something could be common knowledge to the population, but not known. Now, mind you, the knowledge could actually come at the end of the adventure. So, for example, let's put some of these in some kind of strange order here. All right. So, one thing at the giving knowledge at the end of the adventure could be all the stuff above doesn't make any sense together. There's a big action set piece. Maybe that big action set piece is like, again, the sailing ship that's coming in the shore. It could be a snowstorm. I love environmental hazards and obstacles. We'll get into that a little bit. It could be um, allies of the enemies attack the player characters, something like that. Maybe the tavern catches on fire and the PCs help put the fire out and save some of the people, and then that opens it up to the role play of the locals who are like, thanks for helping us, not burn up in the tavern. And oh, by the way, there's something you really need to know. Don't stick around here too long. Later on, again, with the obstacles and things like that, I love attaching enemies and obstacles together so that, like, again, the enemy, using these sailing ships and having rooms that are half or partially, I want to move up there. Having rooms that are half or partially flooded makes a lot of sense. Having some of the enemies using the water to swim into a room and then grab the PCs and pull them down by their ankles. Again, tentacles, yummy, right? So something like that. Maybe for whatever reason, the enemy has rubbed a special salve on their skin that the tentacles don't like, so the tentacles don't go after them, but it can go after the PCs until they find out. Maybe they find out that the local population gives them a magic or treasure or that salve or something. We've only got 3 doses, but it's going to help you against those tentacle monsters. The PCs are like, what tentacle monsters, right? Until they realize when they look out at there's a storm overhead or something like that. One of these obstacles could be the storm itself. Foreshadowing, foreshadow. So maybe there are dark clouds, lightning in the sky. Maybe there's rain or hail or whatever, and strong winds and crashing waves and bolts of lightning from the sky and torrential rain could be hazards that are impeding the player character's ability to go after or fight the enemy on open ground. So maybe they're down at the docks and there's these big waves, sweeping over the docks to knock the PCs into the water. I love doing things like that. Magic item reputation, all these kind of things. This could be at the end of the adventure, of course. PCs get a great reputation for what they've done. If the PCs are sociopaths and murder hobos, maybe it's more infamy than being famous or something. Connections with the population, giving them more of this secret knowledge for maybe at the end of the adventure, it leads them to a new place. But long story short, using preparation that is not absolutely tied and linked together, just having a list of NPCs. Oh, please have a list of names. Don't be stuck with trying to come up with the name of an NPC, random NPC. Please list names. Having a few ideas of some great action that can happen with your player characters. Action could be with monsters or enemies breaking in. The action could be something catching on fire or being destroyed. Action could be a strong mob, or the authorities happen to get involved when the player characters weren't expecting it or whatever. Magic, connection, treasures, you can always make a list of those and keep them off on the side, especially if you have a great idea for like a magic item with a great history or whatever, and just keep that, pull that out whenever you need it. Again, obstacles, hazards, traps, problems that PCs need to solve, whether these are physical traps that we are very classic traps, pit traps, flooding rooms, rooms filling with flammable oil and there's a torch above it, whatever, all your Grimtooth's classic traps. Hazards and obstacles don't need to be man-made. They could just be simple things like landslides and mudslides and quicksand and sandstorms and all your natural hazards. And lastly, problems are just problems itself. Navigating through a dark warehouse and not knowing how to navigate through all the tight boxes, crawling, going into a sewer system and walking in waist deep sewage with a locked grate in front of you, and there's a sewage you can hear in the distance roaring down towards you to slam you guys. If you don't move fast enough, will slam you up against the iron grate, and the sewer may be flooding or something like that. Sometimes there's a problem in lifting, moving, swinging, climbing, like roof running could be a thing. Roof running across slanted rooftops and dilapidated buildings, things like that. Just general exploration. So let me get back into what you guys. Basilic's bladder full of acid in the boot trap. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. That's where a lot of Gaxian monsters came from. Like Gaxian monsters is like rot grubs on dead bodies because players kept messing with dead bodies. Gaxian monsters are monsters that only exist to confound players because of player behavior in adventuring. The Mimic is a version of that. The Gelatinous Cube is a version of a Gaxian creature. Rot grubs, a little used one because people don't listen at doors anymore. There was an earwig kind of thing that would, if you listen to the keyhole, the earwig would come out and attack your character in the ear and things like that. Laser pointers should work on goblins. Yeah, that's hilarious. Red dot works on large cats. Thundercats taught us that. Thundercats. Oh! Yeah, sometimes it's best to ease into the Big Bang start. After that, then the tentacles can show up. This is not a channel reviewing hentai. Maybe that will be my OnlyFans channel. My tabletop role-playing OnlyFans channel. That would be weird. But different. Once great. The End King's like, yeah. Funny. Drew says ninja storming the building, but the building is on fire, and the ninja are also on fire. Everything is on fire. That is how you start with with a bang. Yeah, the ninjas attack you. They're on fire. What? Yeah. Also, you could also have like um a very strong start. Starting out with a bang could be like an enemy. The remnants of enemies from the last game show up in this game just to be very quickly dispatched. Like, oh, we fought a necromancer last time. And then all of a sudden there's like 5 skeletons show up. The characters quickly dispatch. And it's like, where'd they come from? And like, damn, I thought we got rid of this person. And like, nope. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Drew says, and yes, the snowstorm is also on fire. Yeah, I love that. I love that. N King says this won't apply to modern D&D, but I like the idea of the players finding a magic weapon and discovering that it's so old and archaic that it's hard to effectively use. Imagine a medieval knight with a great sword discovering Excalibur and discovering that it's a Roman gladius or small sword. I've often wondered about that too. Like when you find ancient things, step on a rake trap. He's so silly. When you find ancient things, why does it seem like the ancient artifacts are always made to the specifications of modern day? Right? Yeah. I would wonder. Yeah, step on a rake trap. I see a wily coyote. Yeah, walking back and forth. Step on a rake. Bam. Step on a hoe. Bam. Step on a shovel. Bam. Yeah. Yeah. Green tablecloth is actually a slime. Silly. That's so dumb. I love it. Yeah, a rust monster? Rust monsters are a big twist as well. Wow, periscope in the dungeon. Don't look into it. Yeah. Although the periscope around the corner thing, I remember one of my players making like, could I make a periscope? And I was like, I don't know if that exists, but your character's smart enough. I guess that would be kind of fun, looking around corners, trying to come up with an idea to look around corners. Because I remember as a kid making little cardboard periscopes with little mirrors and such in them. Yeah, we don't really have those kind of things anymore, but those were fun. Those are very fun. Um, but yeah, let's get out of here. So anyway, guys, this is just I this was a seat of the pants thing. I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to use this to show you guys, but all in all, prep and improv are not separate creatures separated in a vast gulf and a chasm. Basically, any unused prep is improv fuel. So, um, essentially, what you want to do is when you write down some of your ideas, just make sure that they don't need to be in any linear fashion. Yes, in your mind, you may have an idea like, well, I want to place, I've got some ideas for this here, and I want to put it over here and move this up there, and then maybe move the magic items around. But no, I want to move my enemies down at the end, and then I want maybe give them, an idea to get some special items up here and move it around, and just allow yourself to have the freedom. And the the hardest part of this is being comfortable moving these things around. That's the hardest part. Is the comfort. It's not doing it. It's at the table going, it actually makes more sense. I thought it would be better to give the players some of these magic items at the end. Maybe it's better for after the role playing, because they're doing it so well, for them to get the water breathing chewing gum to go down the fight the enemies in the sinking ships, or the sunken, half sunken ships in the grotto, right? Or it may be, the players' characters, but they need to know about these secrets. So I'm going to put the secrets and the role playing part together. The players find out where the bad guys are at, and before they get there, bam, tentacles. Right. And then we'll put the magic and treasure at the end, and then we'll put the enemies here and start moving things around. And as I'm moving things around, this may happen on the fly at the table, despite the fact that all of this information could have been prepared earlier. So sometimes you might want to write something down for your enemies, and you write it down and you go, oh, I haven't used minotaurs in a while. I want to use some minotaurs. Or there's this idea I have with the Medusa. I'm gonna keep that. Let me write down Medusa. I've always wanted to use a Medusa, and I've never been able to challenge my players with like a, one of these kind of Medusa, like you need to navigate around the enemy kind of thing. So I'm going to write that down, and then later on, you're like, I don't know what I'm going to use with it, and the players come upon some secret knowledge, and it's like, oh, I'm going to have some statues that look very realistic, and the PCs put two and two together, and they go, oh man, maybe some of the townsfolk were turned into stone, and you were like, I didn't really even plan that, but okay, they come into town and they role play, and some of the townsfolk are like, yeah, people have disappeared and never returned, and they're like, I think I know where they're at. PCs may, try to get them back or something, and then maybe the PCs, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna write down stone to flesh something that they're able to return the lost people that have been turned to stone, and all of a sudden now we have a whole new game. But you're like, I have this thing with the sailing ship. I'm going to put, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put the Medusa and the sailing ship together with the bandits. And you see what I'm saying? You just start going down this rabbit hole, and I love it. I love it. Unused prep, leftover beans and rice. Gimme, 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 gimme some beans and rice. Some beans and rice. If you don't have no rice, I'll take some beans, that'd be nice. If you don't have no beans, I'll take some rice and some clean jeans. Shice is like, far out, man. Totally trippy. The kaleidoscope. I mean, don't harsh my mellow. Mm-mm. Then you get animated and come back as Livingstone. That'd be kind of cool. That's funny. So anyway, guys, thank you very much so much for allowing me to to come on, let's get rid of you. Thank you very much for allowing me to just express this kind of thing out there. Long story short, there are many techniques for adventure and world building, and I thought I would just share some of this with you as well. Next week, I'm thinking we will do a week of Obsidian Star. I'm still debating, but maybe next week. Also, I apologize for not delving too much into the chat. There are many of you who are here with 15 people. Thank you very much. For those who are listening in or watching or whatever, and you haven't commented or anything like that, I appreciate your presence as well. But please don't hesitate to be part of it. This show goes live 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, both in YouTube and Twitch. I'm so sorry. I don't have a very good sneeze button. Yeah, happy Mountain Festival. Thank you. Happy Hump Day. Woohoo. Riding on camels. That's something that we don't often do in our tabletop role-playing games, is riding on camels. Caligula says, yes, Obsidian Star Week, what we've all been waiting for. Really? Well, thank you. Yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get into like post-humanism and all that kind of stuff. And yeah. We'll get random tables and what the hell are the big question, like, great, it's a sci-fi game. What the hell are we supposed to be doing in this game anyway? Gotta go up at the end, right? What are we doing anyway? Anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Let me get out of here so you don't have to hear what's going on up in these nasal passages as well. Guys, have a great day. I've got to get out of this place. Don't know when I'll ever get back, but I'm pretty sure we'll get back at some point. So guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for spending your valuable time here on this channel. If you have an idea for something or a concept or something you'd like to talk about, please don't hesitate to put that into a chat. Or it's actually the day of the Urani now. I actually changed the name to Urani. Oops, I spelled that funny. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So guys, thank you very much. Also, I appreciate all the feedback and such as well. So if any of you out there have some ideas you want to talk about, this channel is basically dedicated to, like, it's that moment before the game or like right after the game, we're just eating snacks and having a discussion. And so I really appreciate that. So I get as much from this as you guys do as well. So I really appreciate it. Guys, have a great one. I know. Dro was cooler because it's a little bit slang, like, "Hey, Dro, what's going on?" And which is where that came from. I was just like, it would be kind of cool to, like, that's like it's like a casualness to it, but Urani has a historical significance from Urania, which is a Greek goddess, but also a literary pamphlet that was put out called Urania. That has to deal with gender roles and rights and freedoms and things like that. So it kind of there's a little historical reference to it. We'll get into it. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Have a good one. Peace and tranquility.